Apex Governing Bank in Nigeria, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN has approved the use of cryptocurrency in the country. This is according to a CBN circular dated December 22, 2023, with reference number FPR, DIR, FOB, CIR 002-003, signed by the Apex Bank's Director, Financial Policy and Regulation Department, Haruna Mustapha. The Central Bank of Nigeria in the circular also changed its stance on crypto assets in the country and asked banks to disregard its earlier ban on crypto transactions. The circular titled, Circular to All Banks and Other Financial Institutions Guidelines on Operations of Bank Accounts for Virtual Asset Service Providers, VASPS, CBN stated that current trends globally have shown the need for crypto regulation. The statement reads, the CBN, in February 2021 issued a circular restricting banks and other financial institutions from operating accounts for cryptocurrency service providers in view of the money laundering and terrorism financing, MLTF, risks and vulnerabilities inherent in their operations as well as the absence of regulations and consumer protection measures. However, current trends globally have shown that there is a need to regulate the activities of virtual asset service providers, VASPs, which include cryptocurrencies and crypto assets. Following this development, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, in 2018 also updated its Recommendation 15 to require VASPs to be regulated to prevent misuse of virtual assets for MLTF-PF. Furthermore, Section 30 of the Money Laundering, Prevention and Prohibition Act 2020 recognizes VASPs as part of the definition of a financial institution. In addition, the Securities and Exchange Commission in May 2020 issued rules on issuance, offering and custody of digital assets and VASPs to provide a regulatory framework for their operations in Nigeria. In view of the foregoing, the CBN hereby issues this guideline to provide guidance to financial institutions under its regulatory purview in respect of their banking relationship with VASPs in Nigeria. Quote, the Apex Bank noted that this new guideline supersedes its old ones reference FPR, DIR, Gen. CIR 06010 of January 12, 2017, and BSD, DIR, FOB, Lab 014001 of February 5, 2021 on the subject. It also affirmed that banks and other financial institutions are still prohibited from holding, trading and or transacting in virtual currencies on their own accounts. It added all banks and other financial institutions are required to immediately comply with its new guideline. In its circular with reference number BSD, DIR, FOB, Lab 014001, dated February 5, 2021, the Apex Bank reminded banks that dealing in cryptocurrencies or facilitating payments for cryptocurrency exchanges was prohibited. At the time, it asked banks to identify persons or entities transacting in or operating cryptocurrency exchanges within their systems and ensure that their accounts were closed. Nigeria Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa has said most armed gangs in the southeastern states of the country are not even fighting for the Biafra secessionist agenda, rather, most of them are only into ritual killings and kidnappings for personal monetary gains. General Musa stated this on Tuesday while speaking via video link during the Sunrise Daily program on Channels Television anchored by Maupe Ogun-Yusuf and Ayo Makinde. In a swift reaction, the Prime Minister of Biafra in exile, Simon Ekpa, said the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, is crying and urged all Biafrans in diaspora not to go home to avoid being killed by Nigeria soldiers. According to General Christopher Musa, those providing leadership and any support to the armed gangs in the southeast states of Anambra, Imo, Enugu, Ebonyi and Abia are being trailed by Nigeria military intelligence and the suspected persons would be treated like the armed gang members when caught. The defense chief said the Nigeria military is getting a lot of support from the people and the government, specifically demanded that the Finland government should call Simon Ekpa to order. Adding, it is unacceptable for the Finland government to say Simon Ekpa is their citizen and allow him to be causing problems in another sovereign nation. The defense chief said a lot of the armed gang members in the southeast states are a bunch of individuals that are misled. Adding, there is nothing like secessionist tendency among them. Emphasizing, most of them are into ritual killings and kidnappings. A lot of them are looking for money. Ritual killings. Kidnapping. We have sent videos of what they do to humans. They kidnap people, cut their heads, cut their hands. For whatsoever reason, that's barbaric. That's evil. Nobody should support such a thing, the defense chief stated. Simon Ekpa via his ex-social media handle said, there is war ongoing in the southeastern states and urged Biafrans in diaspora not to return home for the Christmas and New Year season to avoid being killed by the Nigerian military. When is Musa, Nigeria Chief of Defense Staff, going to stop crying? The reason you must not go home for this Christmas as a Biafran. We are in the state of war and the Islamic terrorists, Nigerian army are all out to kill Biafrans coming home as you can hear Musa crying what they will do to Biafrans in diaspora. Stay where you are until we neutralize them and evict them from Biafra land, Simon Ekpa said.
You've also been quoted as talking about some of the frustrations that the army, the military generally, is having, especially in maintaining the peace in the southeast, quoting some Nigerian outside the shores of the nation, frustrating the efforts of the army. Can you talk to us about that? What are the inhibitions that are coming? What partnership are you getting from the people, or particularly even from the state governments and leaders of thoughts in the southeast?
Thank you very much. In the southeast, we're getting a lot of support from the people, from the government especially. What we are calling, like I mentioned the other day about Simon Ekpa, him sitting in Finland and causing confusion in Nigeria is unacceptable. The Finnish government must stop him from doing, if they say he's their citizen, he's affecting another sovereign nation. And for whatever reason, they should call him to order, because I know they will not take it if it was the other way around. He was in Nigeria and causing problem in Finland. So I think it's very, very critical. Again, we still have reports of individuals that covertly support this one, contribute money to them, encourage them, give them logistics and leadership. We want to call on them that the armed forces and other security agencies are going both overtly and covertly. Anybody that is found to be supporting them will be treated as one of them. And it is important. What we need is, for those, a lot of them are just a bunch of individuals that are misled. There is nothing like secessionist tendency. A lot of them are into looking for money, they're into kidnapping, ritual killings. We have seen videos of what they do to humans. They kidnap people, cut their heads, cut their hands, and for whatever reason, I think that is very barbaric. That is evil. Nobody should support such a thing. We should all put hands together with the state government, with the federal government, to move this country forward. We have a lot of other challenges that are being tackled. We shouldn't allow some individuals to drag us back.
African Network for Environment and Economic Justice, ANIJ, earlier in October led a team from Niger Delta region in Nigeria to Oslo in Norway and met with Norges Bank Investment Management, NBIM officials to demand the visit of the bank officials to the Niger Delta region to see the damages caused by Shell Oil Company. The ANIJ-led delegates also staged a protest at the front of NBIM building demanding for justice for Niger Delta and the need to end fossil fuels damages in the region. The delegates also held a town hall meeting to intimate the Norwegian people about the negative impact Shell Oil Company action is causing the people of Niger Delta. In another meeting, the delegates met with the Sami people, who are the indigenous people living in Norway said to be facing marginalization. The Sami people shared their experience and pushed for indigenous rights in Norway. ANIJ, in its documentary made available on Thursday, commended Framtiden Ivere Henda Christiansen, Borg Women, Actioned Denmark Global Platform, Forum for Utvikling og Miljø, Spire Trondheim Mellem Folkelig Samvirke and more groups including the Youths of Norway for their collaboration and support during the visit and different engagements to share Niger Delta people experiences on the damages caused them by Shell Oil Company. According to ANIJ, the goal for the trip was to bring together civil societies in Norway around the issue and make way for further work around climate change and fossil fuels. We hope to welcome the leadership of Norges Bank Investment Management to the Niger Delta soon, ANIJ said via its social media handles. We were profiled in various media publications across the globe and had a successful meeting with leaders of Norges Bank, ANIJ added. ANIJ Executive Director, Reverend David Ugolo, who personally led the Niger Delta delegation to Norway, stated clearly that the campaign to Oslo is not to undermine the Nigerian government but to engage the investor, Udim, with first-hand information from the Niger Delta, and call on them to visit the region to see the destruction caused by Shell and not rely completely on their feedback to produce its responsible investment report. UBIM should learn from the Church of England and pull out its investment from Shell for acting irresponsible. Part of the mission was to hold Shell accountable for the damages caused in the Niger Delta. As a result, women and children are dying and livelihoods have been lost completely. Shell cannot move from onshore to offshore and run away from its responsibilities. They should clean up the mess caused for the past 6 decades of oppression in the Niger Delta, David Ugolo said. David Ugolo also noted that the political will to clean up and restore back livelihoods for the people of the Niger Delta region is needed. He urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to make a record, look into the corruption affecting the region and not allow the Niger Delta political elites to deceive him for their personal gain. Meanwhile, the Canadian pavilion at the just concluded COP28 was agog with an illuminating session addressing oil and gas sector's liabilities and decommissioning in the energy transition. The session was moderated by Alienor Rujot, Program Manager, Climate and Energy, Environmental Defense, Canada. The opening remarks was eloquently done by Dr. Angela Carter, Associate Professor, Department of Political Science, Memorial University, who set the stage for conversation on how Canada, a big emitter, undermines the realization of the Paris Climate Agreement. She exposed Canada as one of the big 5 emitters, still enmeshed in huge oil and gas extraction for profits. ANIJ Deputy Executive Director, Leo Atapo, took turn to present decades of oil and gas in the Niger Delta and exposed how Shell and other multinational oil companies have continued to extract crude oil at the detriment of the people and the environment. He exposed complicity of the Nigerian government. Other speakers included Mike Coffin and Carly Davis Flett. ANIJ during the COP28 welcomed the agreement at the COP28 summit on the Loss and Damage Fund, with nations pleading over $725 million on the first day, which ANIJ described as a vital step but still inadequate for the quantum of what is needed, as the human rights organization welcomed the message of the Catholic Pontiff, Pope Francis, to the summit, calling on world leaders to end fossil fuel. The Deputy Executive Director of ANIJ, Leo Atapo, who was in Dubai for the 2-week summit while welcoming the operationalization of the Loss and Damage funds at the opening of COP28, noted that some studies have estimated that loss and damage in developing countries is already greater than $400 billion a year and is expected to grow. We are deeply concerned that contributions from high-polluting countries will be voluntary, and we wonder when the fund will pay out and how it will be sustained over the long term. Bayelsa State of Nigeria alone requires $12 billion in loss and damage. Delta State requires a much higher amount. We are also worried that the fund will be administered, initially, by the World Bank against the wishes of many developing countries, as we expect such funds to be disbursed as grants and not loans, Leo Atapo stated. It would be recalled that the agreement for the loss and damage funds on the first day of the climate talks on the 30th of November 2023 in Dubai was greeted with a standing ovation from delegates. The fund aims to support the most vulnerable and poorest countries to keep up with the rising costs associated with the climate crisis. Host country UAE and Germany both pledged $100 million, £79 million, to the Loss and Damage Startup Fund, which will aim to keep up with the rising costs caused by extreme weather and slow onset disasters such as sea level rise, ocean acidity, and melting glaciers. The ANIJ Deputy Director also hailed the call by Pope Francis for lending his weight behind calls for an end to fossil fuels in a message delivered at the COP28. Pope Francis had called for an end to coal, oil and gas, as well as lifestyle changes to save the planet. He also asked for debt forgiveness for poorer countries hit by climate change. We are particularly happy that the Catholic Pontiff, Pope Francis, has lent his voice to the calls for a need to urgently phase out fossil fuels, given that we have had to get the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Board of the Church of England pensions board to stop lending its moral and financial support to Shell, an oil company that have polluted and degraded the Niger Delta environment alongside other multinational oil companies. We want the big emitters, USA, China, Canada, Germany, Russia, Japan, India, and Indonesia to save the planet by taking urgent steps to cut their carbon emissions. The issue of debt cancellation for poor countries as raised by the Catholic head is quite important for the world to be able to meet the global climate target as agreed in Paris COP21, as many countries in sub-Saharan Africa, including Nigeria, are reeling under the yoke of debt burdens. Debt cancellation for such countries is an imperative to achieving net zero. As a Nigerian, it was also heartwarming to see President Ahmed Bola Tinubu calling on industrialized nations to invest in alternative energy sources in Nigeria and Africa, since Africa, which contributes the least to carbon emissions, is at the worst hit at a panel hosted by the COP28 presidency and the President of the United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. President Tinubu's emphasis on the need for risk management is vital for Africa's full and swift transition to cleaner energy sources, as according to the President, Africa must not become a victim of the disruptions that come with climate change. Mitigation measures is quite significant, Philip Atapu stated. The ANIF deputy chief further stated that another significant milestone achieved is the COP28 presidency, in partnership with the World Health Organization and UAE Ministry of Health and Prevention, unveiling of the COP20 at UAE Declaration on Climate and Health, to place health at the heart of climate action and accelerate the development of climate resilient, sustainable and equitable health systems. A set of new finance commitments on climate and health was announced to back up the political commitments, including a $300 million commitment by the Global Fund to prepare health systems, $100 million by the Rockefeller Foundation to scale up climate and health solutions, and an announcement by the UK government of up to £54 million British pounds. This is quite remarkable, Leo Atapu noted. COP is the primary decision-making body of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, established in 1992. Representatives of 197 countries who have signed or are parties to the UNFCCC will participate primarily through debates and negotiations.
Myself and 3 others from the Niger Delta made a long journey to Oslo, Norway. Our aim: to raise concerns about the Norway Oil Fund ineffective engagement with Shell in the past 10 years. The Oil Fund is one of the top 3 investors in fossil fuel company Shell, but has failed to get results. In Oslo, we were welcomed by Norwegian communities and groups and built strong alliances. We held a rally outside the Oil Fund's offices with some determined young people in a blizzard. We met with people at the Oil Fund, the Ethics Council, and Norwegian Parliament. In each case, we presented studies and stories showing that oil spill continue to plague the Niger Delta, and that hardly anything has been done to clean up old oil spills dating back decades. Women and children are poisoned by gas flaring and struggle with polluted water and minimal food. In 2013, Norway's own Ethics Council investigated Shell and exposed those issues. The Oil Fund staff were told to address this with Shell, but they have failed to use their power to press Shell to act, and have been too ready to accept what Shell tells them.
Oil has brought us more pain than gain. My mom told me growing up, you could just come out of your house and hold a fishing net, a small fishing trap, and put it in the water, and you get the fish. But today in the Niger Delta, we depend on fish from places like Norway, frozen stockfish. Young girls get menopause at 20. Every day, women and children and young people die. We have come to Norway as a delegation to say, this is the time.
We invited Oil Fund representatives and others to come to the Niger Delta to see the reality for themselves. We are optimistic that they will say yes. This injustice can be solved through more closed-door meetings with Shell. We hope and pray that the Oil Fund and other investors will step up to their responsibility and ensure that Shell is forced to clean up the mess it has left in the Niger Delta.
Bridget, what is your response to the meeting just now in the oil fund in Norway?
I think the meeting with the Norges Bank was a good one. It's an eye-opener for the Norges Bank. They understand, they have some insight now into the reports and Shell operation. It was good we came, They need this kind of validation, for their reports, so that it's not one-sided. They understand the issues deeper, I would say this visit is one very important visit to move forward the issues of the Niger Delta and Shell operations in the Niger Delta. And we think we really want to engage more in the future. We really want to engage more because it will help a lot of things, because both sides will understand what's going on and what's the reality and the context.
Okay, thank you. And just one other question. Which message, which aspect do you think landed? Which one do you think they felt the most, according to your sense of the room?
When they watched the video, it was an evidence-based advocacy. So they saw the evidence and it made them to understand that, their reports were not really sufficient.
So you think they maybe have been misled by Shell and now they're realizing the other side?
I think so, especially with the Shell consultant who is not a Nigerian. With our report, it gave them some sense of understanding that Shell was doctoring the reports.
Thank you. Your impressions of meeting with the Norwegian Oil Fund, please.
Yeah, I think this is the most emotional presentation I've ever had for a very long time. You can see the truth from the presentation we made, penetrating the Norges Bank delegation. I could see, I was looking at all of them. In fact, from the responses, from them, you will see that they were short of words. They were like, we are sorry, we released a one-sided report. It was not supposed to be so. So it was, I can see guilt on their faces. And I'm sure that the truth has been communicated to them. And I know that they are going to make amends. In fact, in their responses, they have said that they are going to make amends. And they are going to subsequently begin to involve the Niger Delta voices in whatever report they are going to, and they are going to hit Shell very hard. If not, that they will withdraw their investment. I'm sure something very drastic will happen from the responses that we make, and I'm happy that I was part of this delegation. Thank you.
So, David, what is your reaction to the meeting now with the Norwegian Oil Fund?
First, I think we're happy that we had the opportunity to come to Norway and to meet with the Norges Bank. And we have met with them, presented our demands, and re-emphasized our invitation for them to visit the Niger Delta. We are happy that they found it useful that we came, and we have also presented to them some latest independent evidence why they have to visit, and they also recognize the fact that they don't have all the solution. They are willing to work with us to provide them more evidence, and they have also expressed very clearly their concern about the catastrophe in the Niger Delta to the oil company. For that, we are also happy. We're very happy that the investors are beginning to understand that they cannot rely on Shell as the main source of their information to produce their investment report. And that for me is something that we stand on, and that their report must reflect the views and positions of the community where their investments are. And we have also agreed that the ongoing conversation is not a one-off thing, and that we should continue to exchange, and that they will be reflecting on our request for them to visit the Niger Delta. And hopefully we will also come back to them because they have also requested that they need more information on other oil companies that they have their investment in. So on this, I think we are not going to have all the solution one day, but we are very optimistic that we will continue to sustain the pressure until our demands are met.
Nigerian juju musician Omobade Jumbo Beats and his band members have regained freedom 4 days after they were kidnapped on their way to Kogi State from Abuja. The musicians were kidnapped on Sunday, December 17, 2023, while returning from an event held in Abuja. It was gathered that the kidnappers had demanded 10 million naira ransom to release them. The juju musician, Omobade Jumbo Beats and his crew members, however, were set free on Thursday morning after they regained their freedom from the kidnappers that abducted them on their way to Kogi from Abuja after performing at an event on Sunday. A Nigerian musician, Adeyinka Adeboye, also known as Boyebes, had stated in a post shared on his Instagram account titled, "A whole full band members kidnapped. Naija is fucked up, I swear. My prayers are with you guys. You all would come out alive." A video shared by a Nigerian musician, Adebodu Taiwo, also known as Ejire Debodu, on his verified Instagram account showed them alighting from a bus after they were released in the early hours of Thursday. According to Punch newspaper, Nigerians have, however, continued to react to the video of the self-release of Omobade Jumbo Beats and his crew. An Instagram user, known as M_Nadinime, while reacting to the video, wrote, "Thank you, Jesus." Another Instagram user, Isans_Pride, wrote, "Thank God." Another user, _peaceful_body, however, wrote, "Abuja is now becoming Afghanistan in Nigeria." Thriftshebe.ng wrote, "See their clothes, these people need medical attention." Or a user, Zionke_Ventures, wrote, "Shy, so much pain in a video, thank God for their freedom." Noble 2022 wrote, "Thank say una there alive fair." The Nigeria Police Force has dismissed 2 police constabularies who were caught on video demanding money from a Dutch tourist in the Ojogbodu axis of the Iseyin-Ogbomosho Road in Oyo State. The constabularies, Jimo Lukman and Karim Fatai, were seen in a video recorded from the different angle cameras mounted on the Dutch tourist motorcycle. The video went viral and the event was said to have occurred on October 29, 2023, when the 2 policemen were seen soliciting money from the tourist from Netherlands, Snorali Schoonmaker. Oyo State Commissioner of Police, Hamzat Adebola, on Thursday announced the dismissal of the officers. According to the police boss, the duo defied numerous orders and directives against professional misconduct, extortion, incivilities towards members of the public and corruption. Consequential on the above, the command reaffirms its commitment towards fighting corruption and all cases of professional misconduct at all levels by causing a deliberate increase in the layers this Yuletide season and beyond. Pasty, while this action is to serve as deterrent to other officers with a similar disposition, Special Constabularies Karim Fatai and Jimo Lukman says to be part of the noble policing profession from today, Thursday, the 21st of December 2023, the police said in a statement. It would be recalled that the Office of the Inspector General of Police via the Force Police Public Relations Officer, Muyiwa Adejobi, had said on December 8, 2023 that the 2 police special constabularies who were caught in a viral video demanding money from a Dutch woman rider at Ojogbodu area along Iseyin, Ogbomosho Road in Oyo State have been apprehended. According to the earlier police statement, the constabularies were arrested by the police authority for their unprofessional, unacceptable, and punishable acts. The Commissioner of Police, Oyo State Command, CP Adebola Ayinde Hamzat, has instituted a disciplinary procedure on the matter immediately. The police authority has condemned the act and ordered that the men and their supervising divisional police officer be sanctioned accordingly. Such an act is unpoliced and would never be tolerated in any manner. The force would, however, intensify efforts in commencing the reorientation program initiated by the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, for officers and men of the force to address issues of this nature and reposition the Nigeria Police Force, the IGP office had said.
And I hereby pronounce both of them dismissed from the police special constabularies. They will be dedicated and cease to be members of the Special Constabulary with immediate effect. It is hoped that this will serve as a deterrent to others who want to have a similar demeanor. They should be defeated. Now, with this development, I think you don't need to match them or anything because they don't belong to any organization to match anymore. Let them just walk out quietly and to their houses. Ordinarily, they should have been prosecuted. But we let that go because they are not regular police officers. Thank you so very much.
Men of the Nigeria Police Force have arrested two suspects producing fake drinks in Lagos State of Nigeria, just as the son of the former Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, Let Dora Akunili cried out over proliferation of fake products in Nigeria despite the sacrifices her late mother paid for the menace to be wiped out of the country. The officers attached to the Ujo Division of the Lagos State Police Command arrested two suspects, Magnus Owomka, 42, and Imo Lawrence, 35, for being in possession of fake drinks. The command's public relations officer, Benjamin Hundeyin, made this known via a video shared on his X handle on Wednesday. The video showed crates of drinks, bags of sachet water, buckets and other items were seen in a filthy and very dirty environment. Officers of Ujo Division today arrested the duo of Imo Lawrence, male, aged 35, and Magnus Owomka, male, aged 42, in possession of fake drinks. In the course of investigation, the suspects led detectives to their inconspicuous, multi-room factory. Investigation is ongoing, Hundeyin said. Punch newspaper had reported that Edoze Akunili, son of the former Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Let Dora Akunili, has expressed concerns about the sacrifices his family made for Nigeria, questioning their worth. Edoze made his position known while reacting to discussions on X following outrage over the growing prevalence of counterfeit consumer goods in markets and stores across the country. An ex-user, Imo Hunoren, had written, "Since Dora Akunili left us alone in this evil world, we've been eating and drinking fake products. That woman looks out for us for real. Top 5 Nigerians to ever exist." Responding, another user, Kelvin_Ig, said, "I can never forget when her house and office in Lagos was burned down on the same day." Obasanjo asked if she wanted to resign. She said Obje should dare that talk and reinforce her security. Obje did, and she carried on, loudly crying she's wild. Ex-user, Morris_Munye added, "Till death, no justice for her family over her attempted murder and her family. Her husband was killed, no justice till now. She gave absolutely all for Nigeria. Yet the land has a way of taking her own. This is why I choose battles carefully. If you lose your life, Nigeria moves on." Responding to the tweets on Tuesday, Edoze said, "Exactly. Nobody has sacrificed more for Nigeria than our family, and yet we constantly ask ourselves if it was worth it. We would give anything to have our parents with us, but Nigeria moves on with corruption and impunity from the top down, seen as normalcy." Sadly, she died because she was so engrossed in her work for NAFDAC that she delayed her fibroid hysterectomy for years, which later was found to be cancerous. "When I see all the lies, corruption and dirty politics, it pains me that we lost our mother for nothing. Was it worth it?" Dora Akunili died at a specialist cancer hospital in India on June 7, 2014 after a 2-year battle with uterine cancer. Her husband, Chike Akunili, was killed on September 20, 2021, at Umuoji, Idemili North Local Government Area of Anambra State. A news release during the week by NAFDAC indicated that in a major operation, NAFDAC dismantled a large-scale counterfeit beverage syndicate operating in Eziokwu Market, Aba, Abia State. The statement reads, acting on intelligence, the agency collaborated with security forces to conduct a sting operation, uncovering illicit activities spanning various brands, including Seaman Schnapps, Hennessy, Four Cousins, Martell, Black Label, Campari, Chelsea London Dry Gin, Carlo Rossi, McDowell's, Smirnoff Ice, ever non-alcoholic drink, and more. Over 240 shops-turned factories were raided, revealing filthy conditions, the use of unhygienic water, harmful chemicals, and cloned packaging materials. The counterfeiters engaged in debt revalidation for expired products like peak milk, powdered milk, ketchup, yogurt, and Coca-Cola products, posing severe health risks to unsuspecting consumers. The shutdown of the entire market was enforced until stakeholders committed to preventing such activities. The operation resulted in the destruction of 1,500 cartons of fake products valued at over 750 million naira, and the evacuation of 300 cartons to an AFDS's warehouse. 10 individuals were arrested and will face charges after a thorough investigation. NAFDAC emphasizes the health hazards of consuming adulterated alcohol, urging vigilance during the festive season, and advising consumers to scrutinize the 4 petaseconds place, price, packaging, and product before purchasing alcohol. The Director General of NAFDAC, Prof. Mojisola Christiana Adeyeye, reaffirmed the agency's commitment to eradicating counterfeit products nationwide and urged the public to report suspicious activities to the nearest NAFDAC office. Embattled former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has been released from the Kuje Correctional Center after meeting up with his bail condition on Friday. The spokesperson for the Kuje Correctional Center, FCT, Adamu Duza, according to Punch newspaper, confirmed the former CBN governor release on Saturday. I can confirm to you that Emefiele has met his bail conditions, hence he has no reason to remain in our facility. He met his bail condition and was released past 2 p.m. yesterday, Friday, he said. It would be recalled that the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja, had granted 300 million naira bail to Emefiele, who is being prosecuted for alleged procurement fraud. Justice Hamza Muazu granted the bail with 2 sureties in like sum. The judge said the sureties must have certificates of occupancy and titles of properties within the Maitama district of Abuja. He also ordered Emefiele to deposit all his travel documents with the registrar of the court, adding that he must remain within the Abuja Municipal Area Council. The judge, however, ordered that Emefiele should remain in Kuje Correctional Center till he meets the bail conditions. Rejecting the objection by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to Emefiele's bail application, Justice Muazu disagreed with the anti-graft agency that the ex-CBN governor was a flight risk and could jump bail, jeopardize investigation or threaten the security of the country if granted bail. Emefiele stood trial on 6 counts bordering on procurement fraud to the tune of 1.2 billion naira. Meanwhile, after more than 4 months of investigation, the special investigator probing the CBN, Jim Obaze, said Emefiele and others embezzled billions of naira and committed other gross financial offenses. Details of the Obaze-led investigative report as captured by Punch newspaper is represented verbatim below. Obaze's report, which was submitted to President Bola Tinubu on December 9, 2023, indicated that Emefiele, who was in office from June 2014 to June 2023, engaged in fraudulent cash withdrawal of $6.23 million and perpetrated fraud in the redesign of the naira, while he allegedly kept £543.4 million in the United Kingdom. The former Central Bank of Nigeria governor, Godwin Emefiele, illegally lodged billions of naira in foreign currencies in no fewer than 593 bank accounts in the United States, United Kingdom, and China without the approval of the Apex Bank's board of directors and the CBN Investment Committee. The special investigator on the CBN and related entities, Jim Obaze, found that the ex-CBN governor lodged £543,482,213 in fixed deposits in UK banks alone without authorization. When contacted, counsel for Emefiele, Matthew Booker, San, asked one of our correspondents to send him a text message. He has yet to reply to the message as of the time of filing this report. Meanwhile, Obaze submitted his final report tagged, Reports of the Special Investigation on CBN and Related Entities, Chargeable Offences, to President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday. The report partly read, the former governor of CBN, Godwin Emefiele, invested Nigeria's money without authorization in 593 foreign bank accounts in United States, China and United Kingdom while he was in charge. All the accounts where the billions were lodged have all been traced by the investigator. In a letter dated July 20, 2023, cited by Punch newspaper, President Bola Tinubu had named a former executive secretary of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Obaze, as the CBN special investigator. Emefiele, who was currently released from Kuje Custodial Center, is being prosecuted for 1.2 billion naira procurement fraud. He was on Friday able to perfect the 300 million naira bail condition granted him by a high court of the Federal Capital Territory on November 22nd. However, documents obtained by Punch correspondent on Thursday indicated that the former Apex Bank governor might face fresh criminal charges over the handling of the CBN Naira redesign policy. Emefiele could be prosecuted for illegal issuance of currency under Section 19 of the CBN Act alongside Tunde Sabiu, a former aide to former President Muhammadu Buhari, and 12 top directors of the CBN. It was gathered that the Naira redesign policy was sold to Buhari at the instance of Sabiu and that the initiative was done without the approval of the board of the CBN. No approval. The investigator found that Buhari didn't approve of the Naira redesign. It was Tunde Sabiu who first told Emefiele in September 2020 to consider the redesign of the Naira. On October 6, 2022, Emefiele wrote to Buhari that he wanted to redesign and reconfigure 1,000 Nairas, 500 Nairas and 200 Nairas notes. The former president tagged along but did not approve the redesign as required by law. Buhari merely approved that the currency be printed in Nigeria. The redesign was only mentioned to the board of the CBN on December 15, 2022, after Emefiele had awarded the contract to the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting Plea on October 31, 2022, the documents noted. Emefiele was said to have contracted the redesign of the Naira to De La Rue of the UK for £205,000 under the vote head of the Currency Operations Department after the NSPM said it could not deliver the contract within a short time frame. The special investigator found that 61.5 billion naira was earmarked for the printing of the new notes, out of which 31.79 billion naira had been paid. As of August 9, 2023, findings revealed that 769 billion naira of the new notes were in circulation. The probe of the CBN also revealed the fraudulent use of 26.67 trillion naira worth and means of the Apex Bank, as well as the misuse of the COVID-19 Intervention Fund. For instance, the CBN under Emefiele at its 661st meeting held on October 27, 2020, approved that the Consolidated Revenue Fund account should be debited with the sum of 124.60 billion naira, and the decision was implemented on October 9. Similarly, the Committee of Governors at its 607th meeting held on December 9, 2020, granted anticipatory approval, pending receipt of a formal request by Mr. President and ratification by the Board of Directors, the payment of the sum of 250 billion naira only to the federal government of Nigeria to address challenges as a result of low revenue inflow and the payment of salaries. The decision was implemented on December 15, 2020. Anticipatory approval. Also on December 30, 2020, the Committee of Governors at its 672nd meeting granted another anticipatory approval for 250 billion naira to the federal government for payment of salaries pending receipt of a formal request by Mr. President and ratification by the Board of Directors. The Apex Bank's management through the Finance and General Purpose Committee equally granted anticipatory approval on the investment of $200 million in equity warrants of the Africa Finance Corporation. According to Section 38 of the CBN Act, 2007, the CBN could grant temporary advances to the federal government in respect of temporary deficiency of budget revenue at an interest. The section also provides that such advances are to be repaid by the end of the financial year in which they are granted. Otherwise, the CBN shall be stopped from granting such advances in the subsequent year. The advance is not to be repaid by way of promissory notes, securitization or issuance of treasury bills. The CBN investigator discovered that the CBN Ways and Means was abused under the Buhari administration. The document further said, in an instance, the senior CBN and government officials padded what the former President Muhammadu Buhari approved with 198,963,162,187 nairas. There are instances where no approvals are received from the former president and yet 500 billion nairas is taken and debited to Ways and Means. There are more shocking instances where the erstwhile CBN governor and his 4 deputy governors connived to steal outright in order to balance the books of the CBN. This was by violently taking money from the consolidated revenue accounts and then charging it to Ways and Means. It was a total of 124.60 billion nairas. They even created the narration as a presidential subsidy and expanded the Ways and Means portfolio to accommodate crime. The CBN officers and even the then acting CBN governor could not produce the presidential approval of most of the expenses described as Ways and Means. When confronted, to provide the breakdown of the supposed 22.7 trillion nairas that was presented to the 9th National Assembly to illegally securitize as Ways and Means financing, they were only able to partially explain a total of 9.063 trillion nairas or 9.2 trillion nairas depending on which official you are considering his submission, and an unreasonable attribution of non-negotiated interest element of 6.5 trillion nairas. This shows that this was the point where the officers of the immediate past administration as well as the erstwhile CBN governor and his 4 deputy governors connived, defrauded, and stole from the commonwealth of our country with the aid of civil servants. Continuing, the report said, the true position of the Ways and Means as documented from the reconciliation between the CBN and the Ministry of Finance at the time is 4,449,149,411,584 nairas and 54 kobles. This may have been the main reason the past administration hurriedly sought that the advances of 22.7 trillion nairas be securitized by the 9th National Assembly on December 19, 2022, which they also hurriedly did despite the fact that it contravenes Section 38 of the CBN Act, 2007. Legal fees. The CBN under Emefiele was also said to have spent 1.7 billion nairas on questionable legal fees for 19 cases instituted against the Naira redesign policy. The investigator also discovered how Emefiele misrepresented the presidential approval for the NESI Stabilization Strategy Limited approved by former President Goodluck Jonathan. The document read, the presidential approval granted by then President Goodluck Jonathan was rightly stated by him, NESI should be a company limited by guarantee, but the Committee of Governors misled the board of the CBN by relying on non-existent advice by the Office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice to incorporate a company limited by shares for which the allotted share capital exceeded the authorized share capital. See 318th meeting of the Committee of Governors held in January 2015. And allotting unauthorized share capital to Mr. Godwin Emefiele and Mr. Mudashiru Olaitan without lawful approval by the President. 1.325 billion nairas was stolen pre-int and the money funneled to 4 companies, including a legal firm which got 300 million nairas. Between 2015 and 2021, an investment company was said to have collected unlawfully a total of 4.9 billion nairas. A breakdown indicated that the firm received 262 million nairas in 2015, 464 million nairas in 2016, 550 million nairas in 2017, 726 million nairas in 2018, 762 million nairas in 2019, 684 million nairas in 2020 and 1.44 billion nairas in 2021, totaling 4.9 billion nairas. Emefiele also allegedly paid 17.2 billion nairas to 14 deposit money banks participating in the Nigerian Electricity Market Stabilization Facility. A total of 14 DMVs engaged in the manipulation by unlawfully arranging and collecting 1.9535% of the total disbursements paid to the DMVs participating in the Nigerian electricity market. Stabilization Facility. The fees are paid to the banks in the ratio of their contributions to the NEMSF disbursement, according to external auditors' notes to the financial statement of NESI Stabilization Strategy Limited. The CBN also went further by authorizing the issuance of debenture for the NESI SPV, starting with 64.8 billion naira in 2015. By 2021, 952 billion naira debenture had been issued. The investigator said the money was diverted from public funds, the document further stated. It was further gathered that Emefiele could be tried for alleged manipulation of the Naira exchange rate, fraudulent implementation of the Naira project, and exemption of 3 foreign firms from paying income tax. Meanwhile, the investigation has uncovered the strange illegal withdrawal, theft of $6.23 million from the CBN vault by 2 persons who used a forged presidential letter. The suspects currently in custody were said to have presented a forged letter on February 7 and at 2023 purportedly signed by Buhari to withdraw the money allegedly meant for payment for foreign election observation missions.